Sartell is a city in Benton and Stearns counties in the state of Minnesota that straddles both sides of the Mississippi River. It is part of the St. Cloud Metropolitan Statistical Area. The population was 15,876 at the 2010 census and 16,788 according to 2015 census estimates, making it St.Cloud's most populous suburb and the largest city in the central Minnesota region after St.Cloud. History. The first known Native American tribe in the area were the Dakota. Gray Solon Duluth visited the large en.wikipedia village as it is up on Mille Lacs Lake in 1679. As the Anishinaabe people moved westward around Lake Superior and into the interior away from the Europeans in the 18th century, they pushed the neighboring Sioux Dakota people to the west, in present-day Minnesota, farther south and west away from them. By 1820 the Chippewa Anishinaabe controlled all of northern Minnesota, but raids between them and the Dakota to the south continued. This area, later named Sartell, was an intertribal no-man's land when European, French fur traders and British geographers first descended the Mississippi River from the Anishinaabe north, and American explorers ascended the river from the Sioux south. The Wattab Creek in Sartell marked part of the borderline between the Anishinaabe to the north and the Dakota to the south, who had lived farther north and east prior to the westward migrations of the Anishinaabe. This border was legally established by the USA in its 1825 treaty with the tribes at Prairie du Chien, which established a demarcation line between the Sioux and the Chippewas, the mouth of the first river which enters the Mississippi on its west side above the mouth of Sac River, thence ascending the said river. In 1846, 1,300 Ho-Chunk people were moved to the Sartell area, followed by the Chippewa Anishinaabe sale of the area north of the Wattab River and west of the Mississippi to the USA. In 1848, more members of the Ho-Chunk Winnebago tribe were moved by order of the U.S. government to the mouth of the Wattab Creek, now called the Long Prairie Reservation, to serve as a human buffer between the warring Dakota and Anishinaabe, unhappy living between two warring tribes. The Ho-Chunk lasted less than 5 years, when some moved again in 1853 to more peaceful territory 50 miles south on the Mississippi, and 3 years later sold the grist and sawmills and moved south of Mankato. A 100-yard section of the old Indian Trail still remains just north of the creek's mouth, albeit overgrown. The area was known as Winnebago at the time of the 1866 ribbon map of the Mississippi River. Sartell got its start as a small American town on the Mississippi River with lumber and a paper company as its main industries. The present site of the city was originally dubbed the Third Rapids, as it was the third set of rough waters that French fur traders encountered as they traveled north from St. Anthony Falls in Minneapolis. One of the first white people to settle in the fledgling town was Joseph B. Sartell, who arrived in 1854 and worked as a millwright at a local sawmill. In 1877, he opened a flour mill at the nearby Wattab River, and in 1884 he started the Sartell Brothers Lumber Company with his sons. In 1905, construction began on both the Sartell Pulp and Paper Company and the Sartell Dam across the Mississippi, near the Third Rapids. Both were completed in 1907, the dam project having claimed the lives of 7 workers. Wattab Pulp and Paper was rebuilt and expanded through the years, passing through multiple ownerships and eventually emerging as Verso Paper's Sartell Mill, the city's largest employer. In 1907, residents of the town decided to incorporate. Several influential people felt the town ought to be named Vengate, after a local businessman. but because of Joseph Sartell's many relatives and generous contributions to the community, the town was incorporated as the village of Sartell in his honor. From 1907 until 1973 there was a Sartell on nearly every city council, the most prominent being Ripley B Sartell, store owner and mayor for 31 years. The town continued to grow slowly, developing a number of businesses and a downtown on the east side of the Mississippi along U.S. Highway 10. In the 1960s, the highway was rerouted, greatly contributing to the demise of the downtown area. The late construction of the current Sartell Bridge over the Mississippi in the early 1980s replaced the remaining businesses. This and Sartell's location near St.Cloud's major retail center account for its lack of a traditional downtown. Independent School District 748, Sartell Street, Stephen, was created in 1969 because residents wanted to educate the children locally. Despite the lack of a downtown, the city continued to grow at an increasing pace in the 1970s. From 1960 to the present, the city's population has gone from 700 to over 16,000. Economy. Sartell's largest employers have been the paper mill that started in 1907 as Wattab Pulp and Amp Paper became Street Regis Paper Company in 1947, and lastly as Verso Paper Sartell Mill and Zurich Water Controls, whose valve production plant is located in Sartell. The city also hosts a number of small businesses, including gas stations, restaurants, grocery stores, and salons. In 2012, the Verso paper mill was severely damaged by an explosion and, due also to decreasing paper demand, was shut down and sold for parts. More recently, the city has begun to urbanize, adding larger chain businesses such as Walmart and Sam's Club in a newly developed area, eventually to be the new downtown. Law and government. Sartell's city council consists of a mayor and 4 members elected at large. As of January 2015, Sartell's mayor is Sarah Jane Nickel, and the council members are Steve Hennies, Pat Lynch, Amy Bragg Lindstrom, and David Peterson. They possess the authority to pass and enforce ordinances, establish public and administrative policies, create advisory boards and commissions, and manage the city's financial operations, including preparing a budget, or auditing expenditures, and transacting other city business as required by law. The City Council also appoints a city administrator, who oversees the daily operation of the city and implements the policies of the council. City recreational facilities include 24 parks, miles of paved walking paths, playgrounds, a bike lane, tennis courts, baseball and soccer fields, ice rinks, a golf course and a wading pool. Religion. The Sartell family was largely Presbyterian, and helped organize the first church in the town, Riverside Presbyterian, on the west bank of the Mississippi River and approximately 1 mile north of the town's sole stop sign, to serve the Sunday interests of local Protestants. St. Francis Xavier Church, Roman Catholic, was founded in 1948, named after Francis Xavier Piers, a Slovenian missionary to Native Americans in the area, and largely responsible for attracting the large population of Slovenian, Polish, Bohemian, Slovakian and especially German farmers to the area and their annual Buja stand. Transportation. Transportation to and from Sartell is limited to surface roads, mainly U.S. Highway 10 and Minnesota State Highway 15, both of which pass along the outskirts of the city. St. Cloud Metro bus service runs to destinations in Sartell and neighboring Sauk Rapids and St. Cloud. A rail line passes through town but serves the city only as freight transportation for the Verso Sartell paper mill. capital. The city's proximity to St. Cloud allows for convenient access to St. Cloud Regional Airport, as well as the city's Amtrak and Greyhound stations. The dams along the Mississippi River and the waterway's relatively shallow depth render it useless for anything more than recreational watercraft traffic. Sartell's location on the river facilitated the construction of the old Sartell Bridge in 1914, which was replaced by the current Sartell Bridge in 1984. Geography. According to the United States Census Bureau, the city has a total area of 10.05 square miles. 9.80 square miles is land and 0.25 square miles is water. U.S. Highway 10, Minnesota State Highway 15, and County 1 of 3 of the main routes in Sartell. Other nearby routes in the St. Cloud area include Interstate 94, Minnesota State Highway 23, and County 75. Sartell is immediately north of the city of St. Cloud. The city is situated on the Mississippi River with the surrounding undeveloped property composed mainly of woodlands and farmland. Demographics. 2010 census. As of the census of 2010, there were 15,876 people, 5,859 households, and 4,060 families residing in the city. The population density was 1,620.0 inhabitants per square mile. There were 6,123 housing units at an average density of 624.8 per square mile. The racial makeup of the city was 95.5% white, 0.9% African American, 0.2% Native American, 1.5% Asian, 0.5% from other races, and 1.4% from 2 or more races. Hispanic or Latino of any race were 1.4% of the population. There were 5,859 households, of which 42.2% had children under the age of 18 living with them. 55.0% were married couples living together. 10.1% had a female householder with no husband present. 4.2% had a male householder with no wife present, and 30.7% were non-families. 23.9% of all households were made up of individuals, and 7.8% had someone living alone who was 65 years of age or older. The average household size was 2.64 and the average family size was 3.16. The median age in the city was 32.7 years. 30.1% of residents were under the age of 18, 7.1% were between the ages of 18 and 24, 31.9% were from 25 to 44, 20.8% were from 45 to 64, and 10.2% were 65 years of age or older. The gender makeup of the city was 47.8% male and 52.2% female. 2000 census. As of the census of 2000, there were 9,641 people, 3,443 households, and 2,513 families residing in the city. The population density was 1,633.9 persons per square mile. There were 3,531 housing units at an average density of 598.4 per square mile. The racial makeup of the city was 97.42% white, 0.29% African American, 0.17% Native American, 1.21% Asian, 0.01% Pacific Islander, 0.21% from other races, and 0.69% from 2 or more races. Hispanic or Latino of any race were 0.87% of the population. There were 3,443 households, out of which 46.4% had children under the age of 18 living with them. 60.6% were married couples living together. 9.1% had a female householder with no husband present, and 27.0% were non-families. 20.4% of all households were made up of individuals, and 8.0% had someone living alone who was 65 years of age or older. The average household size was 2.75, and the average family size was 3.23. In the city, the population was spread out with 32.0% under the age of 18, 8.4% from 18 to 24, 35.5% from 25 to 44, 15.5% from 45 to 64, and 8.7% who were 65 years of age or older. The median age was 31 years. For every 100 females there were 95.7 males. For every 100 females age 18 and over, there were 91.3 males. The median income for a household in the city was $52,531, and the median income for a family was $61,056. Males had a median income of $39,834 versus $27,476 for females. The per capita income for the city was $22,667. About 3.0% of families and 4.0% of the population were below the poverty line, including 4.7% of those under age 18 and 8.3% of those age 65 or over. Notable people: Craig Sauer, NFL linebacker for the Minnesota Vikings; Kurt Sauer, NHL defenseman for the Phoenix Coyotes; Michael Sauer, drafted by the New York Rangers in July 2005. A. Simonson, five-time Whistler late model racing champion and two-time logger sports champion in sawing and log rolling. David Volgman Stevens, guitarist, songwriter for the rock band For All Those Sleeping. Gerard Pierce cello, guitarist, vocalist for the rock band For All Those Sleeping. Ethan Treckle, drummer for the rock band For All Those Sleeping. Mike Camper, vocalist for the rock band For All Those Sleeping. Patrice Kunash, currently co-director of Center for Indian Country Development, a former Deputy Undersecretary for Rural Development at the United States Department of Agriculture 2013-15, former Deputy Solicitor for Indian Affairs at United States Department of the Interior, Office of the Solicitor.